1987. A British family gathers around the television for Saturday night entertainment. During the ad break, a commercial plays. A man walks into a bar. He orders a pint. The bartender says, "That'll be £2." The man replies, £2? For a pint? I'll just beat my wife instead, it's cheaper. The bar erupts in laughter. The tagline appears, Foster's, Australian for beer. The family watching at home? They laugh too, because in 1987 this was funny. This was primetime British television. This was normal. But if that ad aired today, Foster's would be boycotted within hours. The company would face criminal investigation. The executives would be forced to resign. This is the story of 15 British TV commercials from the 1980s that aged like milk, and what they reveal about how much Britain has changed. Let's start with the domestic violence jokes. Because yes, there were multiple ads in the 80s that treated hitting women as comedy. The Foster's ad wasn't alone. In 1985, a Carling Black Label commercial showed a man arguing with his girlfriend. She throws a plate at him. He ducks. The plate smashes. He grins and says, "Good thing I drink Carling. I can afford to replace it." The implication? Physical fights in relationships are funny. Property damage is funny. As long as you drink the right beer. Another ad from 1986 showed a man dragging his wife by the arm through a shopping center. The voiceover said, "Sometimes you need to take control." The product? A credit card. The message? Financial power equals physical power. By the late 80s, 1 in 4 British women had experienced domestic violence. The ads told them it was a joke. Then there were the racist commercials. And we're not talking subtle, we're talking blatant. In 1983, a Persil washing powder ad aired during Coronation Street. It showed a white British housewife hanging laundry on a line. Her black neighbor walks by. The white woman wrinkles her nose and says, "Some people just don't know how to wash properly." The black neighbor's clothes are gray. The white woman's? Sparkling white, thanks to Persil. The tagline, "Persil washes whiter." The subtext was clear: white is better, cleaner, superior. Another ad from 1988 featured a British man traveling through Africa. He's surrounded by black children. He hands out packets of Rowntree's sweets. The children jump and cheer like animals performing tricks. The voiceover says, "Rowntree's, a little taste of Britain, anywhere in the world." The ad framed black people as primitive, childlike, grateful for white charity. It aired during family programming. Nobody complained, or if they did, nobody listened. Let's talk about the homophobic ads. In the 1980s, being gay in Britain was still stigmatized. Section 28 had just been passed, banning the promotion of homosexuality in schools. And advertisers leaned into that fear. One ad for Levi's jeans showed 2 men sitting close together on a bus. Other passengers stare. One whispers, "Are they?" Another passenger shakes his head in disgust. Then the camera pans. One of the men is holding a Levi's shopping bag. The voiceover says, "Levi's, original, not fake." The joke? The men aren't gay. They're just both wearing Levi's. The punchline relies on homophobia being funny. Another ad from 1989 featured a man ordering a girly cocktail at a bar. Other men mock him. He looks embarrassed. Then he pulls out a can of Tennant's lager and says, "Just kidding. I'm not one of them." The ad equated femininity and homosexuality with weakness, with being less than. It aired on ITV during prime time. Millions of British kids saw it. Now the body-shaming ads. If you were a woman in the 80s, British TV told you constantly that you were too fat. One ad for Special K cereal showed a woman stepping on a scale, looking horrified. Her husband walks in and says, "Maybe you should skip dinner." She cries. The voiceover says, "Special K, because you deserve to feel good about yourself." Another ad for Slim Fast featured a woman being rejected by a man at a nightclub. The camera zooms in on her stomach. The voiceover says, "Lose the weight. Get the guy." These ads didn't sell products. They sold insecurity. One 1988 study found that 67% of British women felt ashamed of their bodies after watching weight loss ads. The industry didn't care. They increased the frequency. By the end of the decade, diet ads made up 20% of all commercials during daytime television. Then there were the child safety nightmares. Ads that, today, would be considered child endangerment. One 1984 ad for a British car brand showed a family driving without seatbelts. The dad's smoking. The kids are standing up in the back seat. The voiceover says, "Freedom is a family road trip." Another ad for a bicycle brand featured a child riding without a helmet, weaving through traffic, doing stunts. The tagline, "Raleigh, built for adventure." No mention of safety, no helmets, no protective gear. Another ad from 1986 showed children playing with fireworks unsupervised. The product? Fireworks. The message? Kids don't need adults. Just let them play with explosives. By the late 80s, British childhood injury rates from preventable accidents were among the highest in Europe. The ads normalized risk. Let's talk about the smoking ads. Because yes, even in the late 80s, tobacco companies were still advertising on British TV. One 1987 ad for Benson & Hedges showed a glamorous couple at a yacht party, smoking cigarettes, laughing. The voiceover said, "The gold standard." Another ad featured a rugged man smoking while rock climbing. The tagline, "Benson & Hedges, pure gold." These ads didn't just sell cigarettes. They sold identity, sophistication, adventure, masculinity, and they aired during evening programming, when children were watching. It wasn't until 1991 that tobacco advertising was fully banned on British TV. By then, millions of kids had seen thousands of cigarette ads. One study found that 83% of British teens in 1990 could name at least 3 cigarette brands. The ads worked. Now the environmental disasters. In the 80s, British ads celebrated pollution like it was progress. One 1985 ad for Shell Oil showed massive oil rigs pumping fuel from the North Sea. The voiceover said, "Powering Britain's future." The images: black smoke billowing from factories, oil spilling into water, machinery destroying landscapes. The message: this is good. This is growth. Another ad for British coal featured miners covered in soot, smiling. The tagline, "Coal, the heart of Britain." No mention of lung disease. No mention of environmental destruction. Just pride. Another ad from 1988 showed a family throwing plastic bags and food wrappers out of a car window into the countryside. The product? Convenience food? The implication? Littering is fine. Nature is endless. By the late 80s, Britain was one of the most polluted countries in Europe. The ads told people that was normal. Here's the part that's hardest to process. These ads weren't fringe. They weren't late-night obscure broadcasts. They aired during Coronation Street, EastEnders, Saturday morning cartoons. They were produced by major agencies, approved by regulatory bodies, funded by Britain's biggest corporations. And families watched them together. Kids absorbed them. Nobody thought, "This is wrong." Nobody thought, "This will age poorly." Because these ads didn't reflect British culture. They created it. They taught men that domestic violence was funny. They taught white people that racism was acceptable. They taught everyone that being gay was shameful, that being fat was failure, that polluting was progress. And for a long time, it worked. These ads shaped attitudes, behaviors, and beliefs. They made billions for corporations, and they poisoned a generation. Today, every single one of these ads is banned. Domestic violence isn't comedy. Racism isn't marketing. Homophobia isn't humor. Body shaming isn't motivation. Child endangerment isn't freedom. Smoking isn't sophistication. Pollution isn't progress. We know better now. We've regulated, legislated, and evolved. But the people who made these ads? They're still out there. Some of them are still in advertising. Some of them still defend these campaigns as products of their time. And maybe they're right. Maybe these ads do reflect their time. But that doesn't make them acceptable. It makes them evidence. Evidence of how far Britain has come and how much further we still need to go.